Like, I wanted to burst into tears about a moment, any moment that I had been in the same room as one of my children and I had looked at my phone. God is the word that we give, like, to the blanket that we place over the great mystery to give it shape. But we'll never actually know. Like, you can't know what that is. But this got close. This was the closest I've been to a palpable experience of what it could possibly include.
You speak so beautifully about all these things and the experiences, and now I've gone from never wanting to do psilocybin to now we're doing psilocybin in a cave. Welcome to Fairy and Flame. I'm Catherine Camsey and I'm here with my very, very gorgeous co-host, Casey Hodges.
And together we're building up the collective conscious of our world, one pod at a time. I'm super excited today to have my friend, author, and executive advisor to visionary leaders, Christine O&L. Welcome, Christine.
Oh, so excited to have you.
Okay, what does it mean to be an executive advisor? That's a really big title.
It is a really big title, and it is intentionally big because it includes so much. I often will begin this work with people and they will say, you know, this is not just executive advisory, right? Mm-hmm. And I will say, I am fully aware of that, but you tell me what you think this is called, because I've been looking for words for what this is for a long time. And I just find that what I do is so niche, it has to be experienced. It can't be explained. And that makes it hard, but it also, I trust that there's energetic alignment with everyone that I'm meant to do this work with, and they know and I know. And I've never done any marketing. I've never done anything like that. It's all referral only, which I think fits. You know, that's the way at least this is meant to be. Yeah. But in all of the years that I've spent, it's been a decade that I first started my company in 2015. And it has evolved significantly. When I first started my company, it was organizational consultancy. And I was working with strictly organizations and CEOs and leadership teams to align how they were thinking about their business. I genuinely believe that when someone is creating a company or an initiative or an opportunity of any kind, that it is an unfolding of their own consciousness. Like, it's their organization is an expression of the consciousness of the founder.
Interesting.
And so I think it is a very productive exercise for the founder or the leadership team to map and understand what exactly that is, so that they can see how that's being reflected in the businesses that they're building. So in 2015, it was very much business strategy, organizational consulting, the DNA of how you're building the things, how you're running the meetings, how messaging works both internally and externally, stakeholder matrix, how everything needs to loop together and reflect itself so that there's alignment inherently with how the organization is not only built but run day to day. And it evolved over time to working with people one-on-one, because I realized that it was such an individual journey and it couldn't be too broad of an organizational philosophy, or else it would get lost and it wouldn't feel real enough, that it would be so ingrained in how someone was thinking and moving within their leadership roles. And there I started to realize, okay, if I'm working one-on-one with someone, I don't have to do as much traditional strategy implementation in the organization from my perspective, because this human that I'm working with has become the version of themselves that they are implementing the strategy as an obvious next step, versus something that we have to spend a day in a conference room deciding how to do it. So that was very intriguing to me. And in the midst of all this, I was having babies and I was pregnant, and I was, like up and down with how I was thinking about what I wanted my contribution to be in the world, and still not having words, never really have had words for what this is. because it's more of a feeling, you know, it's more of
intuition.
a, and the feeling of what I do is a feeling to people, that it almost is as if words can hinder what it is.
Oh. Yeah.
It's an interesting place to be in, though, and like, you know, in our day and age.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I
Go
ahead.
I was just going to say, was there sort of that a moment that you crossed over, that you went from the very, you know, working with the businesses to working with the individuals? Was there one person that made you intuitively want to do that, or it just naturally happened?
It just naturally happened. It was kind of like a sliding scale of, it was all organizational consulting, and then it was individual, and then they, you know, they kind of just switched places. But it had to do with several threshold moments of recognizing the gravity of what it is that I was doing, that it had so much more to do with the art of human transformation in the context of business strategy. And I started to get really excited because I realized that I was having a specific conversation. I was holding space for a very particular texture of conversation that had traditionally, to me, existed outside of the business strategy lens, that existed outside of what people would traditionally focus on and prioritize as they were building a company. But it was no less important. In fact, more important. So I started to realize that, okay, I'm able to walk a really interesting line here, because I have this robust understanding of traditional business strategy and logistics and consultative prowess. Yeah. But it's almost a Trojan horse for a different conversation that wouldn't get to be had if I weren't walking this line. So I kind of took ownership of like, okay, I am a holder of a conversation that people don't even realize they need or want to have until they're working with me, and then it reveals itself organically.
It's not a one size fits all.
It's not a one size fits all. And I'm not promoting it. I'm not pushing this other conversation that needs to happen on the front end.
Yeah.
It's emerging from within the context of strategy work, because someone who might need to have this conversation, but they're not aware of it yet, they can get down with some business strategy, you know, they can get down with some organizational consulting. Exactly. And then it's like, oh, surprise.
You flip the script.
Yeah.
Surprise. This is all about spirituality.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, this is about connecting the dots between depth psychology and spirituality and your emotional experience and the arc of your life and the vision that you have, not only for the world, but how does that correspond with the vision that you have for yourself? And all of a sudden, it's weighty in a really good way. Like it has gravitas.
It's an oh shit, I gotcha moment.
It's an oh shit, I gotcha moment. In fact, okay, I just have to say this real fast. Our mutual friend, one of my clients, he has said to me many times. So he sat in front of me because another client recommended me to him, and he had no idea what was in store for him. And he told me 6-12 months down the road, after having an incredibly transformative experience, I never would have done this if I had known what it was on the front end.
Yeah, that's funny.
Never, ever. And he was like, and I'm so glad I did. It's the best investment I've ever made in myself, in my business, in the world.
His family.
And his family. And he's like, I never would have done it.
Yeah.
So there's something to the
mysticism.
Subtlety.
Yeah,
the subtlety of how it's presented.
That's why there are no words for it.
Yeah.
It's because there shouldn't be.
There shouldn't be. And it's such an individual experience.
Yeah,
like I can't sit in front of someone and say, yes, work with me and this will happen. Because not only do I not know that, it is almost a cutting down of the potential of someone for me to pretend like I know where they're going to go, because I don't. Like it's my job to walk with them, and for the intelligence to map itself through our shared space and through our conversation that expands way beyond what either one of us could ever know at the outset of our work.
Yeah.
Together.
This isn't a job that's on the career fair lineup.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
What would you say were the most, I mean, it's obviously I haven't done a journey, and this, like you were saying, the podcast is a result of that, and I've known Casey for a long time, and I love the fact that we literally had one exchange, and then obviously her energy had changed or something had changed, and I was like, hey, do a podcast and let's, we had that, that experience, which is amazing. Out of all the people that you've worked with, and of course you can't name people, but what are the most profound changes that you've seen from the starting working with somebody to the end of where they've got to?
Okay, so I love this question. I'm going to preface this with my relationship with medicine journeys. I've been working with these medicines since 2017. And just to give you context of how wild this is, how crazy in a former version of myself this is, I don't even drink. I've never even smoked a cigarette. I've never done a drug in my entire life. I think I've seen one line of cocaine ever in my life. And I was like, get it away from me. I'm getting out of this room. Who are you? I essentially thought every single mind-altering substance was essentially the same as crack cocaine.
Okay.
There was no differentiation. I don't like any of it. I don't like pot. I don't like, I've never even had it. Actually, sorry. I have had one hit off a weed pen. And this was after my relationship formed with plant medicines. I was like, oh, it's from the earth. Maybe I've been wrong about this.
Maybe this is going to be great.
It was a no. It was a no.
Right. Got it.
I was like, yep, still don't get it. Okay. So anyway, I say this to say, this was a very unexpected part of my journey because I have been so in rejection of anything that alters a state, including alcohol. I don't like alcohol.
Yeah.
And I remember before my first experience, one of my best friends at the time, who I felt knew me better than anyone else, I was like, no, have fun with your drugs. Ew, disgusting, And he looked at me and he said, Christine, it's not what you think. Please trust me. And there is no other person on this planet that could have said that to me that I would have said, okay, because that is how strong my resistance to this whole world was. Okay. So I had this experience and it absolutely changed my life. I sat and it was an ever-present, just tears of joy, tears of recognition, tears of remembrance of such a larger context for my life, that all of these other moments from my life that didn't make sense about the confidence that I had or the direction that I had or decisions that I made and how comfortable I was with unconventional ways of, leading my life, the way that I'd pushed boundaries and taken risks, that everyone was like, where'd you get this?
Yeah. That sounds familiar.
Yeah. It's like,
I can relate.
Right. And I think we all have that part of ourselves that knows and that it is lit up and brought alive. But it's like that moment on that beach in relationship with this beautiful, this was psilocybin for me.
Yeah.
It just reshuffled everything. And I had felt the robustness in an abstract way. And for the first time, I felt it in a very concrete way. Mm-hmm. And so I was unofficially very, again, this was 2017, but I realized immediately that leaders of the world needed to have these experiences because it reminds you of our inherent interconnectedness to all life. It reminds you of a greater understanding of consciousness and reality that actually allows you to detach from being too embroiled in the details that I think can really block people. Simplicity. It requires that you trust something that you cannot know. It requires that you release control of what you have been able to hold together. It's just all of these essential human qualities that I think we need in our leaders these days can be cultivated in the lead up and in the experience of these plant medicines. And so I was very under the radar, low key, integrating this at times, not all the time, but at times with some of my client work when I felt that it was going to be helpful for their journey and the work that we were doing to expand their leadership capacity, to grow their business efficacy, to increase their influence and their magnetism, to move through blocks that we would work on, But then there's just something about a plant medicine journey at the right time that can crystallize it and just amplify the work that we're already doing 100x, and then just create another type of conversation. So all of this to say, I just felt like the preface was
I'm really
helpful.
glad. I know, I'm really
That was
glad you
awesome.
did that.
Yeah. Keep going.
Yes. So some of the most significant movement that I've seen, it's at a deep level that almost is too sacred to name. It is almost, again, kind of like, what are the words that you say to describe the fundamental transformation that happens at the subtlety of a soul level, but that connects to everything else in a human life.
Yeah.
There have been moments of realizing that presence is absolutely unavoidably the point of all of it. And we miss it.
Yeah.
We are missing it. And it doesn't have to be either I'm doing this amazing, impactful, beautiful thing in the world where I have to put time and effort into, or I'm present on a mountain in a hut meditating. No, I think what we're here to do is to weave those worlds, to learn how to be present in every moment so that we can have the impact that we can have, so that we can be with and for each other in our shared compassion, so that we can see behind the behavior and ask the question. That requires presence.
Yeah.
And so this medicine in particular, it reveals the essential nature of that, and is really gently, it will really gently kind of help someone see how they are blocking their presence. But here's the even more interesting conversation around presence is, oftentimes presence can feel like a very disconcerting thing. It seems easy, but actually to be fully present means to be fully with the unknown of yourself and others in a moment, the unknown of a moment. Oh my gosh, like there's so much in a single moment. If you are fully present with it, that it's just like a grand adventure of like, whoa, like life itself. And so when someone really grasps that, their life priorities get rearranged in the most beautiful and essential way.
Yeah.
There have been transformations that I've seen of people feeling that they are reborn into a whole new way of seeing and experiencing themselves after a lifetime of misunderstanding themselves and misunderstanding their life in really painful ways. I've seen this medicine have the capacity, and I do think that it is intelligent. It will give each person exactly what they need to take their next step. And so there have been times that it's taken people back into memories that were painful and then zoomed them up to a new perspective where they can appreciate the essential nature of even the hardest moment. And what a gift.
Wow.
You know, so not only
unbelievable.
Right, it's unbelievable. So not only does it give the power of meaning and connection to who someone has become, but it eliminates the turbulence of the memory of it. You know, it has shown people what I call the time knife, like this, and it happens a lot, like the way that reality moves that is so far beyond our capacity to really understand, but that allows an ease and a lightness with being with this lifetime. You know, it has spoken to people in their respective spiritual traditions. I facilitate for a Christian, he's with Jesus. I facilitate with a Buddhist. Buddha's up in that joint, you know, like
so are the cats.
And so are the cats. Yes.
Resonate with them. They were there.
Right. Yes. Actually, this is a funny thing that happens without planting the seed of this. A lot of people talk about, like, they're like, I'm in ancient Egypt. Wait, I'm in Egypt. That's the pyramids. It's that energy. And that is fascinating to me.
Oh, that is fascinating.
That's where I went in my wisdom spot, my wisdom frequency.
Yes. It happens often that Egypt comes up. Like, maybe not often. Maybe it's like 50% of the time. But I've held space for, I don't even, like, so many of these journeys at this point. And so it's easier, like, it gets funner and funner as time goes on to be like, oh, and that's a theme, and that's a theme, and that's a theme.
So everyone's having different experiencing and seeing different things, and obviously because everyone's experienced different things. So,
And it overlays onto your consciousness. Like, it uses the context of your life. And that's why it feels so insanely personal.
Yeah.
And oftentimes people will have this feeling of, I feel that my whole life led to this moment.
I felt that way.
Right? Yeah. And what created that for you?
Well, first of all, I think that similar to your story, like I was always the kid in the front row. I got straight A's, did everything I was supposed to do. My nickname in college was Grandma because I was always the first one to pass out. I think it still is Grandma, to be honest.
Well, I think it might be, yeah.
Stopped drinking right before my psilocybin journey. Never was a big drinker. Haven't drank since. So same thing. It was like drugs, right? I don't do drugs. And then what I describe it as whenever it happened, the veil was so thin for me to go into my spirit self, which is like another sense, right? It's like taste, touch, hear, smell. I was in the spirit sense. And so all the lessons came through at such a knowing way. I think I shared this with you. It's like I went into all these different rooms and had different lessons. So there was a room of wisdom. There was a room of joy. There was a room of healing. There was a room of reverence. And all these rooms were in such their purest form. I'm now realizing the purest frequency that I describe it as like, if you were to close your eyes and bite into an apple, you're like, oh, that's an apple. It would be like, oh, that's joy, right? Like I know that's joy. And so what it did was the medicine gave me this very large macro lesson, but it didn't go in there. And I was like, oh, well, I feel like that I'm scared of everything. And no, it doesn't like happen like that. Or like, why are my husband and I fighting? Like, that's not what it goes. It doesn't focus on the problem. It focuses on the solution. And so when I came out of it with the receiving, and you remember, I literally had to be held down by the medicine. And at one point, I was like, oh my gosh, it's been 7.5 hours. I feel bad for Christine. We need to go home. And the medicine was like, you get to go back to your 365. I have you for the rest of the day. Christine is fine. We're not done yet. And I said that to you, and you're like, the sun's going down. You're like, okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're here for it.
Yeah. So it put me in a place of control. Like we're not in control of anything. Fear, safety. Casey I still battle with her, but she's definitely not the first person you see when you meet me anymore. And overall, my relationship with JT, and that changed. I realized for over 20 years, I hadn't fully been receiving his love. And not that it was so subtle, but it was a form of protection for me, right? It was like, I don't know, maybe because I thought it was too good to be true, maybe because my parents got divorced, maybe because I thought the bottom could fall at any time. It was easier for me to like 90% receive, because that 10% was going to protect little Casey. Yeah. So when I realized by me not receiving was me not giving him the ability to give fully, I was like, oh, why? Even if the whole purpose, and this is what came out of it, the whole purpose of us here on earth is to love. Whether it's to love a pet, whether it's to love a person, whether it's to love, a friend, whatever, love, right? And if we can that's all we get to take with us to the other side. So why not collect as much love as we can here and have enjoyed all on the other side? So it shifted everything for me, and it was nothing like I expected. I don't know what I expected, to be honest. But now that lesson lives with me every day. And I might not ever do it again. I feel it felt very transformative to me. So thank you.
It's so interesting because you're like probably the last person that I would have thought I would do something like that, but she wouldn't do something like that. But I'm terrified of it, but she did it. It's weird. It's never the people that you think that are going to do it. And then, hearing you talk about it and, how amazing it's been for you and the transformation and the change that even I've seen in you and now what you're doing, it's taken me for an absolutely hard no, definitely not, never would even consider it to to be open to it and because I have a much better, same as you, I don't do drugs. It's like something that's always frightened me. It's not something I'd ever thought I'd even consider, but the transformation is so beautiful and so amazing, and I love that. I love that it is all about love, because that is, it's about holding each other up, helping each other, connecting each other. It's not about money or this or winning or being better, or it's about and I think I just think that's really, from what you've just said and from what I know from your journey, and it's interesting what you were saying about how you work with the leaders, you work with these people at the top because it filters down, right? And even your journey has filtered down into me, things that she said about my daughter. It's not, she's not, you're not, you know, you're her mother, but it's her journey. And because I'm very much helicopter mum, and
well, and I don't want to say filtered down, I think it filtered out, because one thing you come from the other side, we're all on the same playing field. Like, we don't know shit.
Delightfully.
Some of these big, these very high achieving, high net worth leaders to go into this and come out, and I don't know if this comes out every time. Someone might come out and be like, I still know everything. But from my journey, I come out and I'm like, oh wow, and I think I asked you afterwards, I go, what are we all doing here? Like, why aren't we over there? Like that's the jam. So then you kind of had to let's talk a little bit about that too.
Yes.
Because we all have to apply. This is good for someone watching out there who hasn't done this. They're like, hopefully they're still watching. But
hello.
Yeah. We know not everyone can get Christine. We know not everybody can go on a plant medicine journey. But what can we do?
Well, the plant medicine, it's a fun element that is sometimes woven in, but it's not about that.
Yeah. No, I was going to say the work we did ahead of time. If I had gone into that journey without understanding that I had a receiving, you identified the receiving problem.
Yeah.
That was our work we did ahead of time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And this, yes, it has been and continues to be a portion of the work that I do in the world with people, but it's really just another angle to use when needed to approach the same conversation. And I think because of the approach of who I am, because I am a business strategist, because I'm a very serious person in the world in many ways, that's actually what has enabled. I've worked with so many people that were like, I never would have considered this, kind of like what you were saying, if it hadn't been you talking about it, because I know that you get me. I know that you understand me. So, and it doesn't have to be a part of it, because Casey, to your point, there is a conversation that, yes, is spurred on by this journey that is a mirror for the larger journey. So back to your question of, what is it that we're all doing here, and like why are we doing this? This I think is a very personal way of thinking that ultimately I don't think there is an ultimate truth. I think there's interpretation of a fundamental experience of reality that each person is going to live differently for reasons that we might never understand. But I think, in my experience, I'll speak from my experience, we are here to learn. We are here to expand our capacity to love and to hold more and to be in relationship and to figure out what that means and to build a thing, to push the limit and take the risk and become the version of yourself that you have to be in order to build the thing, and then be humbled and then be destroyed and then become the person that you have to be in order to rebuild it all, with that essence of like eager understanding of self, and try again and fail and try again. And I think that life itself is a process of remembering. And in order to remember, we must first forget. You know, we have to lose ourselves in something in order to be jolted back awake. We have to fall asleep at the wheel in order to have someone come and shake our world up and feel the contrast of that. We have to ignite each other and learn how to dance with life. Anytime we get frozen, you know, like someone has to come and remind us to keep dancing. And I know I'm like kind of ethereal, philosophical right now, but
you're the best at it.
If we stay in that place that you were at, like why do we come back? Why can't I just stay in the room of joy? You know, I don't want to come back to this 3D experience. I think that we do. I think that we do want to come here. I talk in the book, just to make this a little bit more real, I talk about these concepts of barbells and roller coasters. And specifically the roller coaster example is, if you think about, like, you go to Six Flags, you go to Disney World, and you want to ride the roller coasters, right? You want to ride most people do, unless you have whatever. I guess not everyone wants to ride the crazy big scary roller coaster.
All of them.
Not all of them. Yeah. But you go to ride a ride, and you don't want to ride the kiddie ride that goes around in a circle, and it's going 1 mile an hour, and it's like ding, da, ding, da, ding, da, in a circle, and you know exactly what it's going to do. We're not going to enjoy that ride. You're going to want the ride that maybe flips you over a few times, that goes fast, that, you know, makes your heart race, that makes your stomach drop, that you're standing in line wondering, am I really going to do this? Am I really going to do this? And I think that is how we are with this life, you know, that we didn't come to ride the kiddie ride at 2 miles an hour in a circle that we can predict the whole time. We came to ride the Hulk. We came for Space Mountain. We came for the unexpected twists and turns, because that's exhilarating in the same way that we're exhilarated by a roller coaster, or, you know, adventure, skydiving. Like, why does anyone skydive?
Yeah.
You know, why does anyone ski? Why does anyone do something that
Why did you lock yourself in a cave for 4 days? We're going to get to that story, but same thing.
Yes, same thing. Yeah. Yes.
I don't know about that story. It sounds very interesting.
Yes, it was very interesting. But, like, I think we want to be brought alive by our experiences. And I think we want to be shaken awake by the hard shit. You know, I think we want to have to become the version of us that can integrate and endure and learn. And despite that, we got to experience this and become this other thing and meet each other and meet ourselves. And we can't do that if we're coasting. I just don't. I think that coasting is a false form of peace.
I love that.
I think
comfort. It's like that. It's an illusion.
Yes, yes. And maybe a necessary illusion for some people. I think that we're all here. Again, no one can know what someone's ideal life path is. And maybe there is someone out there that their exact remit for this life is to get comfortable and coast for 60 years. Perfect. Great. I love that for you. But maybe you'd have another lifetime where you want the opposite.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe they're resting from the last one.
Exactly. Because, I mean, I know if I look at so much of what this book is about that I wrote, like, it's a heavy book.
Yeah.
I tried to write a book on leadership, and I wrote a book about death and chaos and, you know, people feeling like they are at the end of their rope, and me feeling like I'm upside down in the midst of a gauntlet that I don't think I could ever see my way out of. You know, like, why are those the stories in the book? Because they are the meaningful ones. They're the ones that give life texture and inspire the part of us that knows that we can do this.
Yeah.
You know, inspires the part of us that remembers what we're forgetting. And decides to have the courage to be present in any moment versus shut down in the face of our challenges. You know, if we can be brought alive by our challenges and our opportunities versus being paralyzed by them, we are alive. We are then living life. We are here for it.
Yeah. And no one should compare that discomfort. Some people's discomfort could be as simple as brushing their teeth with the other hand.
Yeah.
Yes.
But when you're the queen of discomfort, like I said, you have to go lock yourself in a cave. Like brushing your teeth with the other hand doesn't work anymore. I do, before anything gets away from us, I want to hear that story. How do you, when you thrive on discomfort? And there's a little bit, I feel like a little bit of a thrill seeker about you too. How do you keep upgrading? What do you do to, like, keep that spiritual practice of discomfort continuing?
Yeah, it operates in both ways. So there are extreme kind of thrill seeking, but the greatest gauntlets are the ones that put me even further in touch with myself at home base. So instead of going for the thrill out there, it's looking for the place within myself where the contradictions flow together, as Walt Whitman says. You know, I think it's Walt Whitman. It's either Walt Whitman or Carl Jung, but they say the reason so many people avoid their internal work is because it's where we sense all of our contradictions flow together. And we don't like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I have to continue to push myself in ways to confront the parts of myself that still cling to control, that still are scared of the unknown. Even though I wrote an entire book lauding the the truth of the unknown and the uncontrollable is where life is. I will always, like, there is no arrival. There is no true enlightenment. Like, no one's a true guru at all. Like, we are all just alchemical initiates running around trying to figure out the things that are most present. And so knowing that, I will always be pursuing myself. I will always be pursuing a self-understanding. What's interesting for me is I think the ways that I can do that, I'm not going to say they're increasingly limited, but because I've journeyed so far and wide, and I will continue for the next 80 years. Mm-hmm. Well, not next 80 years, next 50 or 50 to 60.
You never know.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I'll live to be 100. To identify opportunities for that. Because here's the thing, it's hard to manufacture an experience that will truly put you in touch with these parts of yourself, because if you're walking into something like that, you already know to a certain extent what's going to happen. And so the cave for me was the next step of like, okay, I am someone in this world that I talk about discomfort and chaos and leadership of self and having a way to be so fully with the self that there is nowhere else to go, and doing this thing that you think is the scariest, and pushing past your limits in ways that you don't feel ready for, and do it anyway, and ready is a choice, and here we go, like that's my
You're the hype girl
thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And because I sit in front of people every single day and I watch them light up when we are actively experimenting using the lens of business or whatever the lens that we're using to activate them in these ways. Like, I know this truth and I know it in myself, but it's hard to put myself in a situation that truly will ignite that. And so I heard of this thing called a darkness retreat. My friend Krista did it years ago, and I immediately knew that this was going to be part of my life, because it felt that it was a convergence of everything that I claimed to
be an expert at.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. Exactly the words. So it's Southwest Oregon, like in the wilderness. And this wonderful man named Scott has built these 3 earthen caves. And you go into this cave and you sit there in a total void of silence, a total void of light. Like there's no,
I can't imagine that.
It is so dark. You can't see your hand in front of your face. Like I would have my eyes wide open. I would just be doing this, like just hoping to get like a moment of motion. You can't see anything, and it is so quiet. And I had experiences in that cave that pushed me in ways that I did not feel ready for and that I was not prepared for. And I had to use all of my curriculum and all of my skills to allow myself to go there.
Wow. Are you going to that same plant medicine place just without the plant medicine? Are you going to that same spiritual? Where did you go in the cave?
So the cave took me to several places. First of all, there was so much fear right as I was about to blow out this candle. And I tell the story in the book, where the candle was flickering. I didn't realize the last light.
Tell me about the candle. What that they give.
You walk in with a candle.
Yes.
Okay.
So the candle is like your last light. And the thing is, like, you meditate with the candle, and then when you're ready, you blow the candle out and you begin your experience. Okay. So here I am with my candle. I'm all shut up in this cave. And I notice and realize that the candle is going to go out.
Yeah.
It was like it was a little tea light.
Oh, I'd be getting myself one of those big. You want to get like big candle.
No, it was not. That was not an option.
Okay.
The only thing that was available was a tiny little tea light, and it was a used tea light.
Oh,
okay.
A used tea light.
It was at the end of its life. Okay. Didn't notice this, and I lit it, and I had this whole plan. I had a plan, y'all. And my whole book is about
the irony.
Yeah, exactly. My whole book is about like, don't have a plan, just be present with what's the next step, because plans get destroyed by chaos. So here I am with my plan to meditate and do this really scary, confronting, edgy thing. And this candle starts to flicker and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to go out. Like I had maybe 15 seconds. And this lurch of fear, like shot, like this tumult shot through my body. And it was this, like, I knew that I didn't want the candle to go out on its own and plummet me into the darkness. I needed to be the one to do it.
Yeah. You're trying to control the candle.
Yes. But like the polarity of like, I'm not ready for it to go out, but I have to blow it out. But I don't want it to go out on me, but I have to blow it out. And this was all happening in sub 10 seconds. And then the meta of this is like the fear coursing through my body. I was like, oh my God, I'm not who I say I am. Oh my God, I can't release this book. I am a fraud. Like, look at me. Here I am in my jurisdiction. Like, this is my dojo. Yeah. And then here I am absolutely losing.
A mess. Yeah. Hot mess.
Like, gonna throw
over a candle.
Like, yes, over a candle. Exactly. And in a cave that I put myself in, by the way. You know what I mean? Like, goodness gracious.
Right. All self-inflicted.
All self-inflicted. Mm-hmm. And still, that is what the uncontrollable can do. And so even in that moment, I realized, oh, this is so important for me to experience because this is what people experience day to day. It took me coming into a cave and having this experience to like, you know.
But some people can't get out of bed without doing all that.
Exactly. And talk about the compassion. Like, ooh, the compassion came up.
Yeah, I have to remember that.
But I thought to myself, everything from now on is either a metaphor or a movement towards myself. The only way through the void is through the center of the void. And I blew out what was left of the teeny tiny little candle. But I did blow it out.
You did blow it out.
But it was going out. So we you know, we'll call it a truce. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that was quite the beginning, right? So like here I am in the dark silence that I've ever been in my entire life, knowing that I have 90 hours in front of me.
Oh my God.
And I was coursing, like my body was lit up with adrenaline and cortisol.
Wow.
And yeah, it took me a while to settle in, but then it was like my mind was just, I talk about it in the book, like my mind was a circus. It was the most, like I wanted to crawl out of my skin. My mind was so loud and I couldn't get a handle on it. And it was just horrible. Like all these, like, I was like ruminating on certain people and certain memories and certain things. I'm like, what am I thinking about? Like, this is so crazy. Like this doesn't bother me, or I thought it didn't bother me. Like, why is this coming up? And it was just like, it felt like just splashes of memories and thoughts. And I could barely even finish one before the next one would go. It was so loud in my mind. And then I remember thinking to myself, God, my mind is like a circus. This is crazy. My mind is like a circus. And I think I had thought that for a while. Who knows? Because time disappears and reality disintegrates, and you're just kind of floating in the middle of a void. People asked me if I was like claustrophobic, and I was like, no, you can't see a wall. I could have been in space and next to Saturn. There's no claustrophobia in there. But then I realized in this one moment, it was like this whooshing moment. It's like, who is the one that's saying that the mind is like a circus? And as soon as that, I was like, okay, that's me. That's me. My mind is not me. But the belief that my mind was me was making this unbearable, chaotic experience. And so I had to connect. And that's where that skill set that I had been cultivating, that's where that came into play. And so then it went from this thing to this little, I could see it. It was still happening. It's not like it wasn't happening, but I was in touch with a greater context. And then I remember, like, there were so many things that happened. I realized how many things that I do, because there's nothing to do in the cave. There's a chair to sit in, and there's a bed to lay in.
I thought you had a bathtub.
Wow. Yes, there's a bathtub. Mm-hmm. Yes, I don't even know how many baths. And I would just lay in there until the water was ice cold. And then I would be like, oh, okay, well, guess I'm getting out of the bath now. Exactly. Yeah, go to find the towel. I brought my friend Chris. I was like, bring bath salts. Like, why not? Like, make a luxury experience. For days, for all of the time, I couldn't find the bath salts. I went
eating them,
patted the entire cave, and it's like this, like, you know, earth, you know, like this, like mud, and padding through the whole cave. Could not. Bath salts disappeared.
Oh.
Somehow they were like up on, there was part of the cave that was like carved out of the wall, and it was up on a shelf. I laughed and laughed and laughed. I brought these bath salts all the way to use bath salts.
Do you fast when you're in there?
So interesting that you bring that up. The impulse. So no, you don't fast. There's a little food door that's a double sealed, double walled food door. And so
they put stuff in?
Scott puts food in. It's like once a day.
Can you put a message like, help, let me out?
I mean, if I needed him, I could, you know, tell him. Actually, no, you could just walk out. Oh, it's not locked.
Okay. Oh,
yeah.
I don't know how long I would last.
Yeah, you can just walk out. There were so many times I would go up and I rested my hand on that door.
Yeah, that was your little security blanket.
And I would just stand there and be like,
yeah,
just breathe. And I would release it.
Oh, wow.
There were a few times.
A lot of willpower.
Yeah, it was. I was like, I'm choosing this. Christine, you chose this. You chose this for a reason. Yeah. You can't walk out now or else you really are a fraud. You know what I mean? You can't.
And there's no sense of time. There's nothing to let you know how far you're in or...
Not really. Not really. You really do lose time. Wow. I mean, you can track it a little bit because there's a really large time frame where Scott might come to bring the food. And you can kind of hear that happening. If you're awake, you can hear that happening.
Okay.
Like the things being put into the double wall door.
But by the way, the food door didn't even let in light.
Oh, no, it doesn't. Like he puts it in on one side, like re-seals it big time on his side. And then by the time I open it, there's no light that gets in.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. Wow. Yep. So no, I didn't fast, but I did realize that every time I had the impulse to do anything, to move, to get up from the chair and lay in the bed, to get up from the bed and lay in the chair, to take a bath, to have a bite of celery, whatever it was because there was a very, 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 very subtle discomfort that was big, but it was buried. And I realized how many things in my life I do because I'm subtly moving away from discomfort. Because there was nothing to do.
My mind's blown.
Yeah.
Right? And it's only when you get into a place, like I had to put myself in this cave, to be so aware of the subtleties with no distractions, because we distract ourselves. Yeah. Our entire life is an external distraction.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and so it's a feat to be in touch with these internal
places. It's a spiritual
places.
distraction.
Yeah. It absolutely is. And it challenges us to really have the wherewithal and the motivation. Because you have to have some serious motivation. You can get through an entire lifetime without ever going here and not think anything of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Because there's a dishwasher to unload. There's a Netflix show to watch. There's a party to go to.
Limited.
It's just...
What was your biggest takeaway from that? What was your most profound...
The most profound takeaway is what happened after I recognized the impulse. So I think this is all trajectory. First, I had to come in relationship with the mind. Then I had to come into relationship with the limbic system, my body, like the way that impulses of discomfort arise and what I do to quash them unconsciously. So after I was able to sit with that discomfort and let it out, you know, and it brought up all these memories. Like as soon as I went into that discomfort, it was like memories were cycling through that I was like witnessing. Okay, like I see you, I'm letting that go. Thank you, you know, like coming up, and then let it go. So it was the whole practice of letting go. And then I remember, it's still hard to describe because it is so dark, y'all. I was sitting in the gravity chair, just staring into the void. I don't know how many hours. It could have been 12. It could have been 20. It could have been 3. I don't know. And all of a sudden, it unfolded. I don't know how else to say it, but those words. It unfolded, and I was plunged into the most pristine presence that I'd ever felt in my entire life. It was an all-encompassing, and what it felt like was welcome home.
Oh, it's amazing.
Been here this whole time.
Oh, that makes me want to cry.
This world that exists right behind the world that we can see is so vast, and it is so here for and with us. And there's very few times that we get to be so fully with ourselves, that we can be so fully with that and feel the impact of it. And so to me, that was endarkenment. And we talk a lot about enlightenment.
Yeah.
And this effervescent enlightenment of being able to connect dots, but endarkenment is the point. It is the ultimate testament to being in relationship with the fabric of who we are, the fabric that makes up all of it, the fabric that is behind all form. And it felt like an honor. Like you talk about reverence, Casey. Like it was a reverence unlike I had ever felt. And the sensation was it had been waiting for me.
Oh, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And it was also, it had been watching. Like there was an intelligence there. And some people might call that God. Some people might call that the universe. Some people might call that source energy. There's so many different words that we have. One of my favorite concepts is God is the word that we give, like to the blanket that we place over the great mystery to give it shape. But we'll never actually know. Like you can't know what that is.
Yeah.
But this got close.
Wow.
This was the closest I have been to a palpable experience of what it could possibly include. And what it includes is everything and nothing. That's the paradox. It is nothing, and therefore it is everything. It is everything, and therefore it is nothing. And we are somewhere in between. And it's where, I think it's why so many cultures have darkness practices, is because it is an essential human passage that allows us to come into relationship with our life in a way that is fueled by this reverence and appreciation for the details, for the subtleties. I remember I came out of that cave and the first thing I saw was a storm cloud. It was the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I remember looking at a tree and being absolutely incredulous that I would ever think that something on a little screen would ever be more beautiful or important than this tree.
Yeah.
Or my child.
Yeah.
Like I wanted to burst into tears about a moment, any moment that I had been in the same room as one of my children and I had looked at my phone. It felt like an offense to the point of life. And I just, the way, the me that I had to become, to have not a practice and not a technique to be with chaos and darkness, but an orientation to it that opened my heart and opened my experience so palpably and so instantaneously that it built on all of the curriculum that I had already written the whole book, but I didn't yet know until I did that for myself and with myself.
Wow. You speak so beautifully about all these things and the experiences, and now I've gone from never wanting to do psilocybin to now we're doing psilocybin in a cave.
Yes, to clarify, there was no psilocybin in the cave.
No psilocybin, but there might be in mine.
Might be in yours. I love that, and see, and this is what we're talking about, like and I love why y'all are doing this podcast and why it feels like such a spiritual experience. Is like we're here to share these stories and like light each other up and like trust that if any conversation or any moment is happening, it is happening for us. And I just love hearing that we have that ability to feel each other and hear each other and then make a choice that we wouldn't have made 2 hours ago. Yeah. You know, or 2 weeks ago. It's just...
I've heard that cave story before, but I had not heard it like that.
I've never told it like that.
Yeah.
That was beautiful. Casey,
thank you so much
you're
for
definitely
sharing
going to
it.
be in a cave now.
I'm sitting there going, I can go in the cave. Let's do caves.
Oh, thank you. That was
thank you.
And
I don't even know how to. I don't even know where to go from there. That was so beautiful.
I know. I mean, it's like. I mean, really, it's. I mean, that whole story just loops around to really the finishing part, which for me, I think is like your book, which is now
that's what I was going to say
to everybody. So then now we all get to share in your experiences and tell us a little bit about the book. And I think that would be a lovely place.
Yeah, I think that's the way to dot that I.
Yeah.
Yes.
To finish us out.
Yes. The book has been one of the most profound spiritual endeavors of my life. It has taken everything in me to create this because it has forced me to come into relationship with my wound set and my greatest fears of being misunderstood and being being just too visible and therefore in danger, you know, like all of these non-logical narratives that I've had to come face to face with to write this book. And it does feel like it is beyond me. It feels like it came through me. I am the COO and it is the COO. I mean, the CEO. And I am, it feels like in so many ways taking direction from this curriculum. And I have had to absolutely contend with myself in order to have the courage to do it. And I'm still there. Like, I still haven't fully let it go. It's supposed to be out in October, and it's amazing how long the last 1% takes when you have a fear story around releasing something into the world, you know, because as I said at the beginning, like, I'm referral only, I'm stealth mode, and I like it that way, you know? And so, Alchemy of Chaos as a curriculum, what's very interesting is I created this, and then I had to utilize it. I had to put it into practice every second of writing this book. And so you can feel that as you read through the book. Like, you can see my own journey with Alchemy of Chaos as I am compelled to put this into words and to have, like, to dare to put things out there that I never thought I would talk about publicly, you know, that I never thought would be in a book that I wrote with my name on it, that I can never change once it's out there. You know, one of my greatest fears is, but I evolve so much, and my perspective is constantly evolving. Like, if I'm writing this book, and then what if I change my mind? And then what if it's in there? And then, like, I'm going to regret it, and all of those things. But it feels like Alchemy of Chaos is my gift to anyone that I know, and anyone that I'll never know, and anyone that, that is walking around on this planet trying to figure things out, and trying to be their best selves so that they can field the opportunities afoot, and so that they can, like, overcome their greatest obstacles. And the fundamental nature of the curriculum, the plot twist is it all comes down to presence. And I didn't know that I was writing a book on presence until the last chapter was written. I didn't know that I was writing a book on trust until the last chapter was written, because I've had to trust myself in unprecedented ways. And what I'm asking the reader to do is to trust. In the very first part of the book, my copy editor, really early on, she was like, Christine, you have to write an intro, and you have to establish authority. You have to tell people why they need to listen to you, why they need to take you seriously, because you are stealth mode. Like, you don't have a big public following, again, by design, but still, you know, like, how can people know to take you seriously? And I really had trouble with that, because I don't name drop. I don't talk about some of the closest people to me don't know who I work with, and they're heroes. You know what I mean? Like, people just don't realize the work that I do in the world, because I don't need them to, you know. I that's just how it goes. So this idea of establishing authority by, like, puffing out my chest and naming all these things, it didn't fit. But I started to write it anyway. I started to write this intro, and I think I ended up saying, you know, I could name drop you with all of the things. I could tell you stories that would validate the fact that I wrote this book. I could do this, I could do that. But I'm not going to do that, because it doesn't feel aligned with the spirit of Alchemy of Chaos. Because all of this, in italics, is about choosing to move forward into the fire without having the information that you need. So instead, I'm going to ask you to trust. I'm going to ask you to trust that of all the books you could be reading, of all the paragraphs you could be reading, you're reading this one. Can you trust that there's a reason for that? Because I'm having to trust, and you're having to trust. So let's all just trust. More will be revealed. Proceed. And that just came out. It just came out of my writing. And I remember writing it being like, yep, that's what this is supposed to be. And then at the end of the book, there's a section called Revisiting Trust. And so I had gone through this whole book having to trust. And I wrote a sentence that I will never forget writing. It was always going to come back down to trust. I didn't know it, So this book, it's a very interdisciplinary experience. There are so many layers to it. And I trust that each person that reads it will get exactly what they need, no more, no less. But it is one of those books that I hope people will be able to read over and over and over again and always see something different. Mm-hmm. There's not only the curriculum, there's the way that someone interfaces with the curriculum. There's the tendrils of my journey that you can pick up on if you're looking for them. There are codes that I put into the book. There are ways that I drop alchemical clues throughout the book that you will pick up on if you notice, and you will find a whole other layer to the book that most people won't. There are ways that I've set it up that there are findable Easter eggs. But again, you could easily miss them if you're not looking for them. So it's almost like this, it's an experience of being an alchemist. And someone will receive it to the extent that they're ready to receive it. There's artwork that I had.
You shared some with me. It was lovely, beautiful. Yeah.
Yes, and you could feel the energy of it, right?
Yeah, I picked the one that you thought I was going to pick.
Yes. So each of these pieces of artwork correspond to a chapter, and they were created by my friend Maia in Spain, and she essentially the ask was attune to the energy of the chapter and create a manifestation of that energy that is visible, so that if someone doesn't even read the chapter and all they did was look at this art at the beginning of the chapter, that they would understand what the chapter is on a level that is nonlinear and non-logical. And boy, did she deliver, because this art is
it's beautiful.
Yeah. You know, and so there's just these elements to the book that I'm so excited to kind of like to speak about that as the book goes out into the world, because there's so much there.
Yeah.
And I'm just really excited for people to discover these gifts. You know, the book is a gift, but then there's these layered things that reward someone for embodying the mindset and the approach and the philosophy that I'm talking about, which is be the alchemist. Understand that alchemy is a philosophical exercise. It's a spiritual exercise. It's a scientific exercise. And all of these things combined, you will receive what you need to receive. Kind of like, you know, the plant medicine journey. You will receive your next step to the extent that you are open to it.
Yes.
You will know your next thing. You will remember your next wisdom to the extent that you are available to live your life in this way. And so, yes, there's the curriculum of, yes, make friends with chaos and use alchemy to do it, but it's so much more than that.
Well, there's no doubt in my mind that you are going to go down as one of the modern day philosophers. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome. I felt that in the best way.
I feel like that was a journey.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh. So
we want to have you
wonderful
back too. I will come back anytime. And it's just like the meta of the fact that we are sitting here because of like a series of alchemical, you know, creations and reactions. It's absolutely meant to be. And it goes across time in ways that we could never even fully explain. But this is a miracle that we're sitting here. And it's such an honor that you had me on today. So thank you.
So if people want to find you, find out more about you, where should they go?
Well, you can go to my Instagram. Don't be alarmed if I haven't posted in 2 years. Because as of the date of this recording, that is what's happening. Okay. I will be posting more. But you can pre-order the book. Wonderful. That is the offering. Like, it's available at Barnes & Noble and Target and Amazon and all of the places. So that would be incredible. And I am going to evolve myself and be more present on the internet over the course of this year. Oh, I also have a Substack. Again, I haven't posted on it in a minute, but when I'm in that mode, it's a really cool way to have the information.
And you have a great website.
Yeah, brilliant website.
Yes, website.
So we'll put all
ChristinaONL.com.
Christina,
Instagram. Pre-order Alchemy of Chaos.
We'll put everything there. We'll put it all in the information.
Yep. Sounds
awesome.
good.
Yeah, and maybe we can do like a free giveaway or something
of the book.
Yes.
We'll do that.
Maybe a signed copy or something. That would be
Oh,
lovely.
yes.
Yes.
A signed copy with an alchemical message.
Oh,
A personal one.
Yes, a personal one.
I might want to win that.
You get it anyway.
Okay. Thank you, Christine, so much for coming. It was unbelievable, like a little journey itself. Hopefully you all enjoyed it at home as well. All of the show notes will be in the description, so make sure you go and check those out.
And don't forget, like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. See you next time.